This is the Griffin Realty Group Ask-A-Griffin podcast, episode number 41. We continue our series on touring properties. And the question on the table is, how important is consideration of lifestyle when buying a home? Are you a home buyer or home seller who has questions about selling or buying residential property, but you can't find an easy way to get your answers? Well, then, hey, you are definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Griffin Realty Group and the host of the Ask-A-Griffin podcast. Now, to help you take immediate action to get started in the right direction, if you need to buy or sell property right now or in the very near future, you can take advantage of our free step-by-step guides that are waiting for you at griffincourses.com. That's Griffin courses.com. All right, let's get started. In this episode, we're going to answer the question, and again, this is in the series on the buy side. When we're touring properties of homes as a buyer, the question that should be being asked is, how important is that buyer's consideration of the lifestyle that they will live when they buy that particular property in that particular neighborhood? So the first point here is, clearly, in the internet age, when you go searching for a place to call home, I understand and recognize that property layout matters a lot. And that's the way that the brain thinks. We think, okay, well, why don't we just rush off to the internet and we can take a look at our phone and we can begin to daydream. And that's what happens when we daydream about moving and we want to move to another city, or we just want to move around in the city we live in, or we move out to the country, or we're retiring, upsizing, downsizing. All of the myriad reasons that lead to a move makes us want to dream into that little white search bar these days, particularly on the internet, and we look at pictures and details of property for hours. You know what it's like on the internet. Whatever interests you, you can go down that rabbit hole, and real estate is one of the biggies. So off you go, looking at all these pictures and details of properties. And even though you're trying your best to say, oh, look at the size of that room, you have to understand, from an insider's perspective, we use professional photographers with professional lenses, with professional lighting, because we are there representing the seller's best interest in trying to show the property in its best light or its best manner, from stagers well, I could go on and on about the details that are put into capturing that property in a moment of time. We'll even go as far as putting digital footprints up there of what does the property look like. If it's a newer place, it might be the original architectural plans, or we'll just have somebody who does the photography use a laser and try to measure the room so that you have an idea of what those rooms are like. But most people aren't really great with spaces. And when you're looking at it online and digitally, it's tough to tell what that property is really like. So you can see why we go so far down the rabbit hole. And we're distracted by people's personal taste and how they've decorated the house and what furniture they use and what we would do. So you see, all those details really begin to cloud the matter at hand, which is you have a life to live here. So clearly, the layout of the rooms and the furniture that make you happy is part of it. There's no doubt. But there's this huge other part of it that comes to play. You're about to make this financial commitment to this asset. I know some people want to tell you it's not an asset. It is an asset. It's not necessarily, if you don't rent it, it's not an income-bearing asset, but it's an asset. That's your capital. You're going to put real cash down as a percentage of what you're spending. You're going to borrow real money if you're putting a mortgage on it. This is a very serious business transaction. I mean, the net asset, sure, is the equity, and it's not necessarily returning on you, but it's providing for your life. How do you measure the return on your life? Quality of life. So that brings us to the second point here, and the most important point of this particular podcast. If you're a real estate agent, or even if you're not, you've probably heard the quip about residential real estate in particular, also commercial, but residential real estate is the topic here. Location, location, location. If you've never heard that quip, well, there you go. You've heard it for the first time here. But that's the most important thing in real estate. That's where a lot of value happens, right? Is that you might have a shack on the ocean, for example, in Cape Cod, and it might be worth a fortune. Now, if you move that same small shack cottage-style house to the interior of a neighborhood that's not so good, the neighbors don't keep up with it, it's not easy to get from here to there in this neighborhood, well, then all of a sudden the very same size shack is worth a lot less. And the question is why? What is location really offering? Well, it's offering lifestyle. That's what location refers to, is the lifestyle that I get. If I wake up in the seaside cottage and I see a beautiful sunrise and a sunset and I have deeded access to the water, or I'm on the water, whatever it might be, that's the lifestyle you're living. When you wake up and you walk outside, you're enjoying maybe a better view of nature. The whatever it might be. It could be in the mountains. You could go, to the west and be in a beautiful spot that sees the sunset over the snowy slopes. I mean, wherever it might be, that's how you're living. Even if you're looking out through the looking glass, right? You look out through the sliders and that's what you see. Yes, you got the right layout and there's the living room facing it, but it's the way that you feel when you look at the mountains, when you look at the ocean, when you're in that gated community, if security matters to you. All of those things are lifestyle, meaning what is the style of the life you lead. And I say this to buyers all the time. Here's what I say. I said, look, the most important thing that I want to leave you with after the sale is that you feel really good that when you hit the end of your driveway, when you walk out of the front of your building and you take a left or right, you're really where you want to be. See, for me, I spend a little bit of time in a waterfront cottage and I spend a little bit of time in a city apartment. And in both places, that's where I want to be. That's the lifestyle I want to lead. People say, oh my gosh, your house is so small. No, it's not small. It's perfect. And the lifestyle is perfect. It's where I want to be. And every day I can walk out. I went out with a cup of coffee. My wife and I, we walked out there and we watched the sun rise on the beach. We heard the waves roll in. And then this week I'll be going back up to Beacon Hill in Boston, and all the brick on the sidewalks and all the enchantment of a history of Boston that goes back way back into the 1600s, still alive and well. That authentic, beautiful place in the Charles River where the sun sets on the far side of the river. You see what I'm saying? Hear me get worked up about my own lifestyle that I chose? I mean, you can chase a house all you want, and you can be out in the middle of nowhere if that's important to you. If you're, say, very oriented towards nature and privacy and peace, and you want to be out in the middle of the woods, wonderful. That's what location for you means. But don't be feeling this pressure as a buyer to just always be in a hurry to buy something because, oh my gosh, it's brand new and it fits us. Yeah, but did you ask yourself that even though it's brand new and it's all been rehabbed, when you want to take a walk to the park, you want to take a walk to the ocean, you want to take a short drive to your favorite grocery store, yoga, whatever, you pick it. Those are all the things that make us happy. Their lifestyle. So there's this balance. There's this balance between these two things. And that's the third and final point in this podcast here today. It may be argued that all home buyers should consider the lifestyle of the location before getting lost in property details. So I want to talk to you here about process. So as an expert that brings people through the process, that's what we teach them. That's why when I say, hey, we can help you, go to griffincourses.com, get our plans. Our plans are simply the process that we know gives you the best decision-making, process, right? That's what it is. You go through this process, but this is a very particular way to do this. Instead of rushing to the internet and looking at all these property details, go to the internet and ask questions about whatever's important to you outside of the home. Is there a running trail? Are there gyms? Where's the nearest grocery store? Where's the nearest airport? If you're a traveler, where is the nearest hospital? All of those things that give you a sense of happiness, security, all of those things are very important. Do a lot of Googling there and researching those types of things to see where it is. And then the great thing about something like a Google Maps or whatever mapping system you want to use, you can say, okay, from this front door, now you start to use the properties as examples. And by the way, I'm a huge fan of you looking at sold properties first as a buyer. I'll just mention that. Our process, we always recommend to our buyers, let us show you some properties that sold in that area that you seem to think you like the lifestyle, so that now you can almost play a game. What if I had bought this property at this address on Charles Street in Boston? How long would it take me to walk to Trader Joe's? How long would it take me to walk to Whole Foods? I like them both. Oh, that's a little too far, so I don't know if that's going to work for me. How would I get around with an Uber? What does an Uber cost from that spot to over here? Where's the theater? See what I mean? All of these things are going to become your lifestyle. So just doing a little bit of research about what that really looks like makes a huge difference. Stop chasing what the other person is. Keeping up with the neighbor can get you into trouble here, because now you're just trying to start to get anything. And that's sort of that weird frenzied moment that a lot of buyers act as if they're never going to get that property. They'll never own. Prices are going up. Look, I've been doing this a long time. Let me tell you how hard they crash when they crash. You'll always have buying opportunities. Always. And it might be an environment like we're in now as the recording of this podcast. We have a low interest rate environment. So that might be your opportunity. But here's what I would recommend to those of you making major moves for the first time. Don't be afraid to rent somewhere, okay? If you really don't know a city and you really don't know where the lifestyle is, even if you feel like you've done a lot of research, don't rush into buying a property. Buying a property is a big financial and emotional commitment. There's nothing wrong with taking the area for a test drive, right? Nothing. I know, sounds crazy coming from a real estate agent who's saying don't rush into buying unless you're comfortable enough. And I'd say you got to get yourself somewhere up there around that 90% percentile that you're comfortable. Nope, I want to own, can't stand renting for a lot of reasons. Yes, Danny, I hear you. I've done the research on the lifestyle. I know where I'm a runner. I can take the bridge over here, or I love to walk the beach. I can park my car right there at the beach and get a town sticker and walk this beautiful beach. That's the kind of process we want to hear, because when we want to leave you, and we being the collective bunch of real estate agents who are very professional and want you to be a happy past client, not just rush you into a transaction, we want to leave you in a place where you're happy, because to us, you're family. And we're still always going to be your lifestyle, your lifetime resource for real estate. So we want to make sure that you're not calling us back and go, I can't stand this place, right? That still might happen. I mean, life isn't perfect. Life changes quickly. You might have to make a quick lifestyle change, but there's nothing worse than telling somebody to slow down or beware, and they just blow right through that stop sign only to call you a year later and say, you were right, I never should have bought this. Okay, well, here, educate yourself first, and that won't happen. Okay, let me go back over these points here. The question on the table when you're actually physically getting out there and touring something now too. So, this can be done in the last stage where we talked about features where you're doing online research, but this can actually now go into the field. I mean, once you've done that internet research, you want to get out in the field and tour the place on foot, right? Or in your car. So the points are, clearly when searching for a place to call home, the property layout matters. We get it. We know that you're going to live there. But the second point is, you should first consider location. Location means lifestyle. So yes, you got this beautiful layout, but is it in the location that is offering you the lifestyle that's most important to you? Because that's the daily life after the closing. So the third point is, it might be argued that all home buyers should consider the lifestyle of the location before getting lost in the property details. So one great suggestion would be, get out on foot or drive around these neighborhoods even before going to see property particulars, so you understand that when you're driving or walking to see these places, oh, this is a little bit too far from the park. Oh, this is not close enough to the MBTA. See what I mean? Go through that process. Let me summarize it this way. When a home buyer begins the process of moving, it's very easy to get caught up in researching the many property pictures and details that the internet offers. However, in a business where any professional real estate agent will quip that what matters most is location, all buyers should recognize it's because the best locations also tend to offer the best lifestyles, which ultimately weighs heavily on the quality of the life the buyer will actually be living. All right, now remember, you can take immediate action to get started in the right direction if you need to sell or buy property right now or in the near future by getting our free step-by-step guides that are waiting for you at griffincourses.com. That's Griffin courses.com. Also, don't forget you can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen so that you don't miss out on any insights each time we upload an episode. We also post all of our episodes on our social media channels. So you remember, you can turn on the notifications for Griffin Realty Group. Nice little shield with the gold little griffin in the middle, and you won't miss those reminders, okay? We'd also appreciate it if you would share this content with other people just like you so that everybody gets the help that they need. And even if they already have a real estate agent, feel free to share this. I mean, we just want people to go through this process in a better way so that they feel happier after the closing. Hey, thanks for listening, but remember, nobody's coming for you. So take action and go get to work on your own plan for buying or selling property. And we'll see you in the next episode to do just that.